All right. I think I'm live, but I'm going to have to check here because I don't trust this thing. I definitely don't trust it. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, it's well. I'm live, motherfuckers. All right. Anyways, live on YouTube, and this is a test, only a test. But I wanted to maybe have a little conversation while we're doing our test here. Of course, it's going to be able to show me where I need to work out some kinks. Every day is going to get a little bit better, more and more. I know I still need to get the camera upgraded, but we're going to be able to do some more features. I'll be able to put the chat in there and do all kinds of other stuff. I got to figure out how to get Bill in because I've only been able to figure out how to get one person in at a time. But I could still hear his voice unless I do it with the Zoom view. And if I do it with that view, it's just not cool and all that stuff. Anyways, what I wanted to do is talk to you about, something I came across, through this whole journey I've had of being in the truth community. One thing that's boggled my mind, it didn't really boggle it. What it was a fight internally with myself to come to accept that a lot of these people are bullshit. And one of the first signs that I saw that these people, there was something wrong, was that they didn't learn. I know every day that I read and learn something new about the things that are going on, whether they're false flags. Of course, that's one of the things that I really have been impacted by. So I've really looked into those. But I've seen other people that have studied them and other current event issues and other things, and it's like, wait a second, you should be learning instead of going back to the same old rhetoric. And I was like, wait a second, some of these people are highly educated. I've read what they wrote. Very well educated people. They're not incapable of not learning. So what's the agenda here? And then you come to accept it. You're like, okay, well, obviously they're not here to learn. They're not here to learn. They're here to do something else. There's an ulterior motive. There's a bullshit agenda behind it. Whether they're brainwashed into getting into these things or they do via money, that's why they're intrigued into getting into these things, or whatever the whatever way they were provoked into it. There's a problem, and I look at it things as you gotta question it, and it's just like this whole thing. You pick up on different things after a while, and the other night I see a video pop up and recommended. That's Alex Jones and David Icke. Alex Jones was having an interview with David Icke. And I had never watched these people. I'm like, they're both bullshit. And of course, the whole fucking game of, Lenny Posner's suing Alex Jones. That kind of bullcrap. That's fake. That's bullshit. But anyways, so I'm like, what's the deal? Supposedly he's kicked off YouTube. You see him on YouTube more than ever. And I said, you know what? I said, I might regret this, but I'm going to turn on the video because I want to hear what they're talking about. I haven't heard these people in a long time. I want to hear what the stupidity is coming out of their mouth. But you do pick up on things that, it's weird. You could be sitting there right next to somebody and they totally don't pick up on certain things. And certain things, when you're a lot more awake, you pick up and in tune to, and they kind of know that. And the rest of the world, it'll pass and it won't even freaking, get into their heads. But they sit there and they kind of were like, well, David, here's Alex Jones talking to David Icke. Well, we did you could say whatever you want about us, but we did wake a lot of people up. And they're basically saying, this is what their deal is. This was their deal, to wake people up, to snap them up. But why? What's your whole spiel there? That you also have to do all this disinfo, but this whole awakening thing is important. Why are these people tied to these different secret societies involved with waking people up? Doesn't make sense until you look at the whole picture. And a lot of people will reject that. They just want to say, no, they're not trying to wake us up. There's no problem. I woke up on my own. It's God. It was angels. You know, it could have been angels. Don't discount that part. I'm not sure what kind of angels. Anyways, there's some weird things that go on with that stuff. Anyways, but they don't understand that there was a program out there really pushing to wake a lot of people up. And until you get into these different institutions, until you get into studying these different institutions and seeing their motives and their agendas, and you can see how often I'll literally see people on Twitter or Facebook or somebody else, and they're talking about a new belief system that they have, and I'm like, wait a second, this kind of matches that agenda that this institution or that institution has been pushing. And then they're the same kind of people are saying, yeah, we're against these NGOs and stuff. They're not comprehending where they're getting their new belief systems from. They're not comprehending that there are people out there that obviously wanted some people to wake up and learn. So that needs to be questioned. And then you just see it, and you see these other people. It's like, all right, they're, you know, like this Joe Biggs. I'm looking there. Californians need to be banned from moving to Texas and Florida. Really? Okay. But the stupidity that are coming out of these. I mean, are they that dumb? Are they these people that work for these people, these shills, whatever they're working for? Are they that dumb, or are they just saying stuff, you know, that appeals to a certain, you know, area that's targeted to mold? You know, you got James Woods here fucking talking about Antifa. Somebody's got an Antifa mask on and yelling with a bullhorn. Okay, well, that's special. Yeah, it's the whole left-right paradigm. I mean, you know, it's just the Trump this. Sessions is a psycho. You know, okay, whatever. You know, that fucking Zach did something. You know, this whole session thing was by, you know, him taking off was all about the numbers, but which was done by Bill Clinton. God, the Clintons are the best. Right. Okay. It's just a stupidity. Sessions out. I mean, why are people still caught up in this? What happened to the migrant psyop? Is it like over? The migrant psyop just stopped. The elections happened and migrant, they just disappeared. I mean, like the same thing that happened like 3 or 4 years ago when they tried this whole fucking psyop. But it just blows my mind. Everybody's getting dumber by the minute, and social media is helping it. You know, this whole thing, and that's actually interesting. The whole thing with Bashar al-Assad being knighted. Well, duh. I mean, come on. Was it 1971 or something? Bush, you know, helped, you know, through the CIA, got fucking Saddam Hussein in, you know. Saddam Hussein was CIA backed. He was there to play the boogeyman. It's a fucking game. You know, you think Assad is not? Come on. No, it was 1971 that they got the Shah of Iran in there. I'm not sure what exact year it was that they got Saddam Hussein in there. Could have been even the same year. Who knows if they were doing that much stuff in the Middle East at the time. But, yeah, I mean, don't think we don't already own Iran. Just like the rest of, like, Central America and whatnot. That's all fucking Masonic CIA infiltrated. You know, these boogeymans, we already own them. Whatever happens through, you know, conflict is already agreed upon. And what the sad thing is, they'll put these people in power. And if those people are agreeing for, like, some of their people to die via war, that's just sad. But you got to understand, I'm sure the CIA has the power to do that. They could do that. And, you know, if you really study the whole thing with the, I think one of the greatest things I looked into in research is the Suez Canal. The history and, you know, the politics in Egypt was quite fascinating because it gives you an explanation how the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, where they all came out of, and this all started in Egypt, and that whole freaking, all these subversive groups Bam. And, you know, of course, we tore up Egypt again after that, but you got to question it. I mean, this is their playground. This is where they, you know, from the British Royal Society to our scientists or Smithsonian Institute, that we've been in and out of Egypt and spending a lot of money there for a very long time. They know the history. They've been manipulating the history. And, you know, I hate to be a spoiler alert, but if you read into some of the Masonic traditions, you can start to see where they adapted the ancient alien story to actually reflect on actual history. Okay? So, like, they somehow turned actual history and turned it into the ancient alien story. So, if you could get rid of, like, the ancient alien part and learn that, what they're talking about there, it actually reflects onto actual history. And that's actually quite interesting. Problem is, people get stuck. They get stuck on that. And listen, if the fact is, if you can see their old writings about this, and you can see that the ancient alien stuff mirrors what their old writings are, you have to kind of look at their stuff when it's, you know, their stuff that they're supposed to be sharing with each other, you know, the stuff they don't expect other people to be reading. You have to kind of look at it and go, okay, you know, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's more evidence to back up ancient civilizations of our own than there are ancient aliens. So I'm not saying there aren't ancient aliens. I'm just saying when you read their stuff, you can see where some of these ideas come out of. So, you know, you might want to read that stuff. Just saying. It gives you, you know, Bashar Assad, I mean, his wife, I think, what's his wife? His wife is like French or something. So his wife, she's like, I forget what she is. What is she? What's his wife's name? She's a pretty lady. Oh my God, there's so much info on him. Where is where's his wife? Spouse. Asamu Assad. Where is she from? French literature, Harvard. MBA from Harvard. Really? She was born and raised in London to Syrian parents. Okay. Well, so she's Syrian anyways. But she got an MBA at Harvard. I mean, obviously a very intelligent person. But, yeah, Harvard. You know, what they say about these schools like Harvard and Yale is basically certain people, depending, you know, there's a high percentage of your intelligence people, your intelligence workers that come out of there. You know, you come out of Yale or Harvard with an MBA or a Juris Doctor, you're basically a spy. You know, you're connected into this elite system. So there's an awful lot of these people out there. And, you know, when I see an MBA from Harvard, and then she went to King's College in London, you know, she was around our spies. And, you know, I sometimes don't always trust how these people are mixed together. You know, I almost think a lot of these, you know, because I've dealt with these Yale students and whatnot, they're pretty incapable of normal things. Everything has to be kind of arranged for them because they've been spoiled from such a young age and they expect everything done for them. So I don't think they, you know, I used to go down there and pick up girls all the time at Yale because the guys were inept. No matter how good looking they were, or how, you know, rich they were inept at thinking and how to talk to people. So sometimes I think a lot of these people are just arranged marriages. You know, I've heard other people talk about it before and whatnot too, but I think a lot of them are. You know, so it's just interesting that yeah, she's got an MBA from Harvard, and you know, the problem is again with these people, and just like Assad. And yeah, he's come and told, you know, supposedly told the truth a little bit about the fake chemical bombs and all that stuff. But the the other part of it is the fact that why haven't they come clean about the moon landing? Why haven't they told about Sandy Hook? Why haven't they told the truth about so many things? And you got to ask, when these leaders don't go that extra step, when they come there, if they're supposed to be, playing the good guy, bad guy, and doing this and that, yeah, they got to do some truth. Putin's got to, seem like the good guy in certain places. Well, we all know he's not. He's, an assassin for the KGB. So yeah, no, you're not the good guy, but they sell you the good guy. They all play this little bit of part, and people not being able to catch that these days is a joke. Just like the whole thing with Donald Trump. I'm sitting there reading. How long has the ADL been? What bank is it? It's the Sterling Bank, Sterling National Bank. Was started by Meyer Lansky, the mafia boss. Okay, he wasn't the mafia boss, but he was the, think of him as the CFO, Chief Financial Officer for the mafia. Okay, he was their money guy, and he starts a bank, Sterling National Bank Corporation, right, as a front for the mafia. Okay, and the ADL, Anti-Defamation League, and we know what kind of trouble they cause. So, anyways, we have this bank, all right, and of course, Ray Cohen, he was involved in this, and behind the scenes in helping start this. And then his son, Michael Cohen, gets caught up into some scandal and more with Sterling Bank still. But if Trump's lawyers are in bed with the ADL front bank that works with the mafia, there's a problem. Because when you question where money is coming from these false flags, or it's been hidden around, and how is it connected to Israel? Because what Sterling National Bank was doing was actually working with Israel. Israel is opening these charity companies that weren't real charities, so that they could funnel taxes and basically, the mafia. It's bad enough that they were laundering money, but they weren't even paying taxes on their investments. So they're getting return on investment without even paying taxes. It was unbelievable. And they were still doing this. And I'm sure they're still doing it to this day. But it ties Trump right into those people. And people are like, Trump, Q. And I don't get it. Especially when you see these educated. How can you trust when you see educated people with multiple degrees out there sitting there rallying up Trump? I mean, and I'm not doing it just because it's Trump or Obama or Hillary. I'm like, no. But so we know how dirty Hillary is. We know how dirty Obama was, just another puppet. Gosh knows, we don't even know where the hell he is from, or where his real even name is. It's another joke. But how can nobody see that? Come on. These educated people see this. What they're doing is they're going along with an agenda. And that agenda is, manipulation of you. So they're involved in social engineering within this truth community. And that's why I say that they're not in the truth community. We need to make progress where we can get, all this infighting to stop. But we also have to clean it up. We have to clean up the truth community. And I think one of the only ways we could do that is basically somehow coming up with a contract, making them sign. And I know that's the contract is the devil and all that shit, but somehow making some kind of, pledge to the truth, where they're contracted to being honest somehow. I mean, I'm not even sure if there's a way of doing that, but what I mean is, if we could get some of these shills, where if they sign something that says, hey, I swear I'm not a Mason, I do not go to a lodge, I don't belong to a Mason, that way if we catch them, we can take them to court, and we can bust them out and ruin their life. I'd like to see something like that. Because you take a look at people like Richie from Boston and all these other people that have been stealing money hand over fist. Now, I don't mind those people out there, when they're giving, real knowledge and real information, or teaching you something, and they, you give them something, you're getting something. But when you have people that are giving disinfo and misleading people or selling fear porn, to me that should be a criminal act. You know, making people live in fear, and then you're asking for money from these people or scaring them to give. That's the same thing as a preacher. It's the same thing as one of those evangelic big megachurch people. That's what that is. And I don't agree with it. So, to be honest with you, I'd love to see something happen to those people. I'd love to see them get locked up, all their money, have to be returned with interest, because what they've done is so wrong. But there's something that needs to change, and we have to somehow stop the infighting within the truth community. But we also have to clean up the truth community and make sure that, when people do wake up, whether, whatever they weigh or whatever way they're waking up, they're doing it the right way. There's nothing wrong with waking people up, okay? And I understand, these people like David Icke and Alex Jones, well, we did a great thing. We woke all these people up. Okay, wait a second. But did you wake them up properly? Did you wake them up into a safe environment where they're going to receive ongoing truth without disinformation and agendas buried behind it? No, you didn't. Matter of fact, I'm sure there's a lot of people, because I've come across a lot of people that have gone through some pretty heavy depression when they woke up. And luckily, I don't know anybody that has, committed suicide or anything like that. But I'm sure there have been people that have committed suicide when they woke up. So, in actuality, because David Icke, Alex Jones, and these other fucking fools didn't wake people up properly and in a healthy manner, yes, you did wrong. Because one person's life is not worth, your agenda. And to me, I'm very careful, I think, sometimes to really push people away, because you don't know how people are going to react. And that's why I don't like a huge following. I want people that are awake watching me. I don't want the little minions that just woke up and, they're stuck on Q or some bullshit like that. I want those people watching me. Because I don't want the responsibility of them. And two, I really don't feel like dealing with their stupidity. And, we've all gone through it. I mean, nobody wakes up, right into knowing everything. Yeah, it takes a minute to learn things. But these people didn't care. These people don't care. And they're still taking money out there. Alex Jones, he's going to return his money? We know he's a fraud. Think he's ever going to return any of that money he stole from so many people? He's no different than the, that town we can't say that robbed all the money for lying about, children dying. We can't say that town, so we're not going to. But he's no different than them. None. No difference. Just as shady, just as much of a liar. No difference. He's another little bitch. But it's too bad. But anyways, this is what I go through is, it's a tough thing to start to understand that when you come across these people, when they list their doctorates, when they list their law degrees, when they list all this shit, they're full of shit. I'm not saying that their degrees ain't full of shit, but their degrees are what makes them full of shit. Like Bill says, they got dumbed up, and they did. This is the way it happens. And I kind of noticed when I grew up, I was just kind of noticing how this kind of shit happens. But you take kids, right? And now, you may have some that went through an MK Ultra program when they were younger. And then they're, giving back to their parents or whatever, and they're go on their life. Who knows which ones are going to be triggered into being excellent, students or whatever. But you take the kids, right, that did really well in school, that paid they paid attention really well, all right? Now, you got your rich kids that get their own kind of programming, but then you get some kids that maybe middle class or not super wealthy. And I see this with a lot of people that are, seem to be subversive MK Ultra people that did really well in school. And my guess is this is how they did it: is they get the kids that paid real good attention, were nose deep into the books, and went to all the gifted classes. So then they get scholarships to go to college. Now, part of those scholarships, they usually have to write essays, and they have to, fit into the formula. So then you have things like the Fulbright Scholarship, which pretty much everybody involved in that was MK Ultra. And there's other scholarships like that that are all MK Ultra people. So you have that, right? Now, so they got these people that are so programmed within the system, writing papers and being part of the system, and they just progress like that, not even knowing that they've been programmed just by the system itself. Because when you put a child in day one, they're learning wrong, okay? Learning wrong, but they have to know the program and stick with the program. Teacher says, get with the program. Well, that's what the teacher doesn't even know. It's telling the kid to get with the fucking MK Ultra program, because that's what it is. Life nowadays from birth is an MK Ultra program. They put you through this NLP and different manipulation. Study your books. Know the information. Only the information that you know is the stuff that we're telling you to know. And we come to find out that that stuff's a lie. So they get programmed into the lie. Their brains refuse the truth. So the more they're programmed into the lie, which is those people that study those books a lot harder, the more they hold on to that lie. They don't want to let go of that lie. So that's where you get these people, and once they've had their brain pretty much totally transitioned into a place of the system, they can't wake up. They could be pretending they're awake, but they're not. They're just going on, a social engineering agenda. And it's bullshit. Because a lot of these people I know can recognize it. Some of them can. And they're still going along with it. Other ones I don't think they can. And we need to get rid of these people. We need to get them out because they're dangerous people. They're dangerous people. Is when a community, like the truth community, has been created where it's not truth. It's not about truth. There's probably more misinformation and disinformation in the truth community than there is truth. People wake up, and what are they going to learn? The misinformation and disinformation. And that's just another MK Ultra program, is when they're learning the wrong stuff again. And that's not good. Because people should only know the truth. Why believe in the lie? There's nothing wrong with, like a story of fantasy for entertainment, okay? But when it's done intentionally to change a person's perceptions, that's when it becomes wrong. And this is so often done. Just look at Walt Disney. Again, people, don't let your kids watch Disney movies. This has only been a test.